So hello everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning, and welcome to our Winter Alumni College series, Yoga for Everybody. My name is Catherine. I'm the Assistant Director of Advancement Communications here at the College of Worcester. Joining me this morning is Becky, the Director of Donor Communications and Stewardship, and Carolyn, our Assistant Vice President for Development. So if you need any assistance with Zoom, please feel free to message us in the chat and we will be happy to help you. You can also use the chat to communicate with each other and let us know where you are joining us from and your class year, and you can interact throughout the course. Except we are doing yoga, so who knows how much time we'll actually have to chat with each other. We ask that you place today's Zoom call on speaker view, and I actually am going to spotlight Leslie as well. But in the top right hand of your screen, you'll see a little square that says view. You can click on that and place it in speaker view, and this will allow you to really focus on Leslie and see these yoga moves that we're going to be doing. Where am I? One second. Okay, in an effort to make this course as accessible as possible, we have a live transcript available by clicking on the link in the top left corner of your screen. We are also recording this call today. And without further ado, I want to thank Leslie Gordon, class of '86, for volunteering to lead this course for you all and sharing her knowledge with us today. All right, take it away, Leslie.
All right, there we go. Welcome. I need to know if anybody's sitting in a chair. So if you could either unmute yourself and say, I'm sitting in a chair, or type chair in the chat, then I will show some chair postures. But if nobody's using a chair, I'm not going to bother. So, but one of my things with my classes, my Yoga for Everybody, oh, there's a chair. Okay. Yoga for Everybody classes is that I have found that a lot of people who cannot get up and down off the floor don't want to try to do yoga. So I have a chair in all of my classes. I've been doing this for about a year now because I, like all of us, got shut down last March. And so I started doing all of my classes on the Zoom. Okay. All right. It doesn't matter if I see you because I can't see all of you anyway. I've been teaching yoga for about 20 years now. I started when my kids were quite little, and it was a way for me to work and not have to put my kids in daycare, quite honestly, so I could work at nights and weekends when my husband was working during the day. So I've been doing this for a long time, and so I can imagine what's going wrong out there. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of things. And so I'll make suggestions as we're moving through. Just know that this is going to be a fairly simple class because I want to make sure that we have time for questions at the end. So I'm going to leave about 10 minutes for questions. I'm sure that there will all be very easy questions, right? So anyway, I'm just kidding. So I am going to be moving back here, and I'm going to be projecting as best that I can. I usually wear a headset, which is supposed to help with my sound, but I taught a class this morning at 9 and everybody was screaming that they couldn't hear me. So I tossed my headset and I said, forget it, I'm just going to talk loudly, and then I'm going to find a geek at Best Buy as soon as I'm done here. So that's my plan. So when we're doing yoga, and especially when you're on the chair, you're watching what we're doing with our spine. We're moving our spine in 6 different directions. So if there's something we're doing on the floor and you're not sure how to do it in the chair, think first, what is she doing with her spine? And you may be able to figure it out, but I will jump up and down and help those who are sitting in chairs. I also want to say that my #1 rule, and probably the most important rule, and one of the only rules that I have when doing yoga, is don't do anything that hurts. So if something starts to feel not right, geez, I'm not sure if I should do that, she's asking me to do this and it doesn't feel good in my body, then stop, because you listen to your body before you listen to me. I'm #2, your body is #1. All right, so we're all in a little square here, nobody can see each other, so you don't have to let your ego take over. The ego, check the ego at the door, it's gone. This is just all about you, your body, and what's just right for you today. All right, so we're going to start from a seated position. I am going to say, if you have a blanket nearby or a pillow, if you sit your hips on the blanket or the pillow and you let your knees drop forward so that your hips are a little bit higher, your pelvis will move forward. The top of your pelvis will move forward and you will be able to sit up with more ease than if you didn't have your blanket. If you have your blanket, you're going to start to round as your back gets tired, and we want to keep a nice neutral spine as much as we can when we're moving through this class. I'm starting in a position called Sukhasana. That's the Sanskrit word for the posture. It's easy pose is what it's called. In easy pose, we're not going to stack the legs. Both of my legs have their own place on the floor. If I start to stack, I start to look like this. And what I really want is this nice connection through both of my legs, my sitting bones. I want to feel like I have my space on the earth and I'm connected to it with as much territory on the backside of my body as I can get. All right, so that's where we're going to start. Posture is key. If you take nothing else home today with you, it's posture is vitally important. So in Sukhasana, we're going to think about dropping into our sitting bones and lifting up through our heart center. So because we spend so much time doing this, eating, driving, texting, we start to do this, our pecs get tight, pectoral muscles in the front get tight, our trapezius rhomboids get stretched in the back, they get weak, and pretty soon, before you know it, we're walking around like this all the time. So we're going to open up, we're going to lift up, even if it feels weird and uncomfortable. That's what we're going to do. Drop down into your sitting bones so you're not giving yourself a big arch in your low back. And then most important, and the thing that's often neglected, get your ears over your shoulders. So many people start watching this when you're out in the world after this. Many people walk like this with their ears forward of their shoulders, so they have to tip their head back to look straight ahead. So you've got a hyperextended neck. Watch what people look like when they're walking around. The rest of us want to look like this. All right, we want to sit with our ears over our shoulders, our heart lifted, and we'll be able to breathe better and we'll be stronger. Our backs will be stronger. We'll be able to stand up straight for the rest of our lives. And we'll feel better. We won't feel like we need to have a massage at the end of the day. All right, so let's sit up nice and tall. We're going to relax our face, relax our jaw. Close your eyes if you're comfortable with your eyes closed, and notice what it's like to sit inside your body. Just notice what it's like to sit inside your body. Notice the breath that's moving through your body. Don't try to change your breath in any way right now. Just notice that. I couldn't hear. Just notice, that's my watch talking to me. Just notice the breath moving in and out of your body. Notice where it goes. Notice where it doesn't go. And then we're going to start to breathe like we have a balloon in our belly. We're always breathing in through the nose in yoga, if you can, if your nose isn't stopped up for some reason. Breathe in through the nose, blow up the balloon in your belly. And then as you exhale, exhale through the nose or the mouth and deflate your balloon. So you'll feel your belly draw back towards your spine. If it helps to have your hands there, put your hands there. If not, your hands are just resting in any comfortable position. Breathe in through your nose, fill up the balloon in your belly. And exhale, deflate your balloon. Let's keep doing that. Let's take a few more breaths. We allow the breath to center ourselves, move us into our practice, because that's what this is. It's just a practice. It's nothing more important than that. Breathe in, blow up your balloon. Breathe out and deflate your balloon. If you're sitting in a chair, you have both of your feet flat on the floor. Best not to lean back on the back of your chair. Best to sit up nice and tall like we are. Let's blow up our balloon a couple more times. Blow up the balloon in your belly. On the in-breath, exhale, deflating the balloon. And we're going to let that breath go, that last breath go. Put your hands in a comfortable position. Relax your shoulders. Let's start to make a little circle with the tip of the nose. So what I'm presenting today is a gentle class. We'll move our spine through the 6 directions of the spine. We're going to move all of our joints from the top of our body all the way down to our toes. When we move our joints, we move fluid into our joints. We hydrate. Let's circle the other direction. And hydrating is important the older we get, of course. Not only drinking a lot of water, but moving. And then let's bring the nose right back to the center. Let the back of your neck be long. Slide the ears over the shoulders. Let's lift, roll the shoulders back. I never roll my shoulders forward because guess what I do all day long? I roll my shoulders forward just like everybody else. So in a yoga class, it's always back. Always back. Lift and roll. Big circles. Lift and roll. So we're getting our shoulder joint warmed up. Rotator cuff muscles. Some of you are familiar with your rotator cuff muscles, hopefully in a good way. And then let's release. Let's play the piano with our fingers. And we'll circle our wrists around. Circle your wrists with a nice loose hand. So don't make a fist, nice loose hand. Let's go the other direction. And maybe by now some of you are tired of sitting cross-legged. So let's straighten out our legs and let's circle our ankles. And we'll circle them the other way. So right now we're just warming up, still warming up. We're going to tap, tap, tap our legs. If you're in a chair, your tap is going to look more like that. Tap, 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 tap. And then let's come to our hands and knees. If you're in a chair, stay in your chair. Unless you can get on your hands and knees, then join us. We're going to come to a position called table position. Notice that my hips are right over my knees. All right, the tops of my feet are on the floor. Unless you tend to get cramps in your feet, you could tuck your toes. My hands are right underneath my shoulders, but some of you are going to say, my wrist doesn't like it here. So you're going to come to your fists instead, or you're going to come to your forearms. If you're in your chair, you're on the edge of your chair like this. You've got space behind you. Your hands are resting on your knees. So we're going to look down. We're going to draw our shoulders away from our ears. Relax your jaw. Take a breath. And as you exhale, round your back, your shoulder blades up towards the ceiling. Tuck your chin, tuck your tail. And then as we inhale, we're going the other way. We're coming to the back bend, gazing forward, lifting the tail, arching the back. So back and forth. This is called a vinyasa. This is a cat-cow vinyasa. We're in cat pose here. We're in cow pose here. And notice when you're moving that there's little spaces in between the in-breath and out-breath, the out-breath and the in-breath. And those are the places where we just kind of stop and settle and say, my breath doesn't want to move right now, so my body's going to be still too. If you're on the edge of a chair, you're doing exactly what we are, only with your feet flat on the floor. Let's do a couple more breaths. And then we're coming back to our neutral table. So engage your abdominals. Notice my back is nice and flat here. I'm going to walk my hands a little bit forward of my shoulders, tuck my toes. And then we're coming to a posture many of you probably already know, which is downward facing dog. So we're going to lift our knees and our hips and let our head hang straight down. If you're in a chair, you're doing your down dog either from the seat of your chair with your ears in between your shoulders or your arms, or you're on the back of your chair like this. Knees are bent. We can all have our knees bent. That's going to help us to keep our spine a little bit more neutral. Spread your fingers nice and wide. If you're getting tired, come back to your table and then join us again. We'll just take a couple more breaths. Let your head hang down. Relax neck. Feel the tractioning in your neck. Soft jaw, and then let's walk our feet towards our hands. So we're standing in a forward fold. I will always have my knees bent here. That's going to help to protect my back. It loosens up my hamstrings a little bit, so there's not quite that big pull on my pelvis. And I'm going to unhinge from my hip creases to the standing position. So in other words, I don't ever roll up. I always come up to standing with a nice long straight spine. That's particularly good if you have osteoporosis. All right, I'm going to just adjust my computer here so my head doesn't look like it's cut off. Okay, we're going to talk about posture here in our yoga posture called mountain pose, or Tadasana is the Sanskrit name for it. So in Tadasana, it's just as if we were sitting on the floor from here to here. We have that same posture. But now I have to think about my feet and my legs as well. So I want my feet to be hip distance, which is right where my femurs insert into my pelvis. It's not the outside, it's right here, dead center. So my legs are straight and the muscles on each side of my leg are working equally to hold me in this position. I want to think about the four corners of my feet, which is either side of the heel, either side of the ball. And you can do a little rock back and forth on your feet to kind of feel that. And then let's lift up our toes. And when you lift up your toes, your arches will lift. Try to put your toes down without dropping your arches. That's hard. And then soften up your knee, because now your knees are hyperextended, right? Drop your tail down, slight engagement here, and then everything else the way it was when we were in Sukasana. Okay, we'll bring our hands down beside us. Back of the neck is long, ears over shoulders. Let's bring our hands to the heart. We'll do another vinyasa. It's called half sun salutation. Inhaling, reaching the arms up and overhead. If you're in a chair, you can do the same thing, or you can join us in standing, hinging from the hip crease all the way down. Let your head hang. Come halfway up, take a breath. Look at the floor. Spine is long here. Exhale, fold. Keep your knees bent, come up, big arms overhead. And exhale your hands to the heart. That's one. This is called a vinyasa because every time we breathe, we're making a movement. Doesn't mean it has to be fast. Let's inhale again, arms up. Exhale and fold, hinge from the hip creases like you're swan diving off the cliff. Come halfway up, take a breath, look at the floor or your toes. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll reach up, big arms overhead. And exhale, hands to the heart. Let's do one more, just like that. Inhale, reach it up. Take up all kinds of space here, all the space around you. Exhale, keep your knees bent, swan dive all the way down. Come halfway up, take a breath. Exhale, fold. Inhale, big arms all the way up. And exhale your hands to the heart. Relax your shoulders, neck, and jaw. Check your knees. I always go back to the hyperextended knees, right? So soften up your knees. Like you're floating on your legs, all right? Let this all be as soft as we can be. We're going to do another posture now, lateral bend. So that's one of the directions of the spine. Backward bending, forward bending, lateral bending to each side in rotations. Those are the ways we'll move our spine today. So we're going to bring our arms up overhead, interlace your fingers, and let your index fingers point up towards the ceiling. For those of you who have a challenging time with core strength, you're going to want to keep your right arm on your hip like this. If you're in a chair, you can do the same thing that we're doing sitting on your chair with your feet flat on the floor. Let's take a breath. As we exhale, we're going to exhale over to the right side. So a little bend to the side. Let your hips rock to the left. And then we'll inhale, come through the middle, nice and strong through the core, and exhale over to the other side. Your hand could be here if you need it to be. Let's do it again. Inhale, come to center. Exhale over to the right. And inhale through the nose. Exhale, nose or mouth. We'll go over to the left. Inhale, come to center. Now we're going to do a little back bend. And if you need to, your hands are going to come here. They're either over your head or they're here. Let's unbend, inhale, and we'll do it again. Exhale, little bend backwards. Looking up, inhale, come to center, and exhale, let's swan dive it all the way over. We'll recapture some of that space in our back. Come halfway up, and exhale, fold. Inhale, our arms up and overhead. And exhale your hands to your heart. All right, let's just do a little shake. This is one of the great things about Zoom yoga. Like, nobody can see you. You can do whatever you want. You can wiggle, 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 wiggle. You don't even have to wear clothes. Did that violate a policy saying that? I don't know. I might have violated a policy. All right, let's do a balancing posture. Balancing is huge in yoga. And the older we get, the harder it is to balance, the more we need to practice. And there's all kinds of things that are affecting our balance all the time. First of all, we're on a planet that's traveling through space at some ridiculous amount of speed. We might be on a medication. We might have not had enough water to drink. We might be on carpet. Carpet is hard to balance on. Okay, so wood floor, tile floors, that's going to be the easiest. Let's shift to our right foot. Let's do tree pose today. Trees are so pretty this time of the year. We're going to externally rotate the left hip. I'm still on my big toe because everything I do is very intentional. I don't want to just come to the pose. I want to come into the pose, be in the pose, and come out of the pose. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to think about my posture, lifting up, getting my ears over my shoulders. I want to find a gaze point on the wall in front of me, not the floor, because there's your ears in front of your shoulders again. Get your ears over your shoulders, find your gaze point. When maybe your foot lifts up to your lower leg. Maybe you can help it come all the way up into your inner thigh. Do not press sideways on your knees, okay? Let's bring our hands here. And then if you want to become a tree with branches, any branches that you choose, let there be some tension here in your abdominals. You have a strong trunk, feel it. Everything presses to the midline here. Thigh to foot, foot to thigh, pressing toward the midline, nice and strong. We're breathing. I hold most things 3 to 5 breaths. About 5 breaths is about 30 seconds. Let's take another breath. And then let's release, but let's do it with control if we can. Now take a breath. A big deep breath and let it go. Let's find our mountain pose again. We're going to the other side. Forget everything that just happened. Okay, that was yesterday. Here we are now. We're going to stand on the left foot, externally rotate the right leg. Some of you will decide to stay on your big toe forever, and that's fine. You might look like this in tree pose. Some of you might be holding onto your chair, right? So this is you in tree pose. Some of you are on your lower leg. Some of you have your foot on your upper thigh, point your toes to the floor, become a tree. Become a different tree if you want to be a different tree on this side. Be something different. Change your center of gravity, right? Whatever you choose. Imagine that tree friend in your brain. What kind of tree friend are you emulating today? Nice deep breaths. Find your gaze point. And then let's let it go. Nice and easy. We'll do a shake, shake, shake. I always like to shake my muscles. Shaking your muscles gives them a little bit of confusion, confuse them into relaxing a little bit. All right, let's do a posture that's pretty popular in the yoga world that you may have seen. I don't know how many of you are brand new to yoga, but I want to just give you some of the highlights here. We're going to take a wide step. Some of you are practicing on a mat. So if you're practicing on a mat, you're facing the long edge of your mat, just so you have your mat underneath your feet. We're going to let our feet be parallel right now, just so that we have some awareness of that. Okay, feet are still parallel. Feel the bottoms of your feet, feel the four corners of your feet, so you're not rolling to the outer edges. And then let's turn the left foot. So now our feet are perpendicular to each other. I've got my right heel pointed towards my left arch. I still want to feel the four corners of my feet. That's important. We always want to have a nice foundation. Now I'm going to notice that my shoulders started heading in the right direction over here, going to the right. So say no and line your shoulders up with the long edge of your mat, your blanket, whatever you're using. Then we're going to bend the right knee, and I'm going to look at my knee, and I'm going to say the mantra, knee over ankle, all I can see is my big toe. Knee over ankle, all I can see is my big toe. If you notice, you can do all sorts of things with your knee. You can move your knee all over the place. But if you have that mantra in your mind, your knee is exactly where it should be in this posture. We're doing Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. So let's readjust, line up with the long edge of your mat. We've looked at our knee. We're going to lift up our arms, but we're not going to lift up our shoulders like this. We're going to relax our shoulders like this. Take a breath, and as you exhale, the final thing is to gaze out over your right arm. Feel the energy flowing into the crown of the head and out through the fingertips, nice and strong here. Don't dump in the middle. Nice strong core, right? There's an engagement in your abdominals. Your tail is dropping straight down. We should feel strong in this posture. This is a posture that activates the first chakra. If you know anything about chakras, I'm not going to really get into them today. But it's a standing posture. We're working against gravity. We always get stronger when we work against gravity. Let's take another breath. Keep your legs exactly where they are. Do not move your legs. Bring your left hand to your left thigh. Bring your right arm up over your head and turn your palm so you can see it. Slide your left hand down your thigh. Open up the right side of your body. This is called reverse warrior position. We're stretching the right side of the body, stretching the rib cage, engage through the abdominals, relax your jaw, take another breath in and out. And then let's come back to Warrior Two. Relax your arms, straighten your leg, and notice what your thigh is telling you. Let's go to the other side. So we're going to turn the left foot out towards the short edge of your mat if you're using one. The right foot is pointing towards the long side. The reason I'm not using a mat today is because it gets all bunched up on my carpet here, so it's easier for me not to use a mat. You don't have to buy a thing to do yoga. Like I said before, you don't even have to wear clothes if you don't want to. So that's a wonderful thing about Zoom. All right, let's line up the heel with the arch. Feel the four corners of your feet. Turn your shoulders to the long edge of your mat. Bend your knee. Take a look, knee over ankle. All I can see is my big toe. That means your knee is placed right over your second toe. All right, let's lift up our arms, relax your shoulders, take a breath. And as we exhale, we're going to turn and look over our left arm. I've engaged through my abdominals. I feel strong through my core. I feel strong through my legs. I feel like a warrior. But in yoga, we head out. The warriors head out with our hearts open. We lead out for that battle of compassion and empathy. And that's what we're sending out to the world. So we're going to take a few breaths. Nice soft jaw. And then Let's put the right hand on the right thigh. Left arm lifts up to the ceiling. Turn your palm so you can see it. Reach up, and then if you want to, you're going to slide your hand down your thigh, and you're going to open up a little bit more through the left rib cage. So we're stretching the muscles in between the ribs, and those are primary muscles of respiration. So we really want to open up so we can take those nice deep breaths even when we're not in yoga. Let's inhale, come back to warrior two, and we'll float the arms down, straighten the legs, and let's walk the feet together, heel toe, hands to the heart. We're going to hinge, bring your hands to the floor again, and step to down dog. All right, drop down towards your heels. Whether they get there or not is not important. We're going to come into a position called plank. So it's more of that up, push up position. Soften the space between your shoulder blades. You can also be here, half plank position. I often go to half plank myself. You can still bear weight on your arms very strongly and engage your abdominals. Chair folks. Plank position on a chair. You can do it. If you need to put your knees down, this could be more like where you are here. Engage your abdominals. Wherever you are, we're all going to come right down to the floor. Elbows drawn into your side. Hug your ribs with your elbows. Come down to the floor and relax. Take a rest. Turn your head to one side. If you're in a chair, stay in your chair. We're going to do a back bend here. And then let's come. We'll start on our forearms. I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. If you're on your back bend, we're going to be doing, we already are in a back bend. So you are sitting on the edge of your chair, holding the back rails of your chair, pressing your heart forward and arching your back into a back bend. Those of you who are here, you're in a position called Sphinx Pose. All right, so we're lifting our head out of our shoulders, gazing forward like this. I have to look at my computer so you can hear me. But here's Sphinx Pose. And then in Sphinx Pose, I always like to lift my belly off the floor, and that gives me that engagement through my core. Makes it a little harder. For those of you who would like to go a little further, you're going to slide your hands underneath your shoulders, and you're going to come up into a posture called Cobra, Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose. Draw your elbows in and keep them bent. So straight arms is not Cobra, soft arms is Cobra. Send your weight forward in your hands. So you're not pressing into the base of your palms there. Send your weight forward. The gaze is forward. Some people like to look up a little bit higher. I pretty much keep my gaze forward. Do not sink into your shoulders. Lift out. Lift your head and neck out of your shoulders. Take another breath. And then we'll all come down. Turn your head the opposite way from the way you did before. Bend your knees. Let's do a little rock side to side to relax the back. If you're in a chair, you can just rock your knees side to side. We'll put our feet on the floor. We're going to bring our hands under our shoulders again. Come to our table. Take a breath and slowly, like you're doing a slow motion video, drop your hips back to your heels. We'll come to child's pose. With our arms overhead, it's called extended child's pose. You could also bring your arms beside you like this. Forehead comes to the floor. If you have a block, you could also put the block under your forehead. If your arms are beside you, melt your shoulders to the floor. We're trying to get back the space here in our low back. If you're sitting in a chair, you're folding forward over your legs. Take the next 2 breaths into your low back. And then let's sit up. And we're going to come back to our seated position. Let's cross our legs the way that's uncomfortable. So usually there's one way we cross our legs all the time. We're going to do a big circle. So we're taking back that space in our back. We're soothing the muscles in our low back. Little rotation. This isn't really a yoga thing, but it's something I do in every class. Let's circle the other way. One more time around. And then we'll turn our attention to the only way that we have not moved our spine yet, and that is into rotation. We had a little bit of rotation in Warrior Two, but we're going to do a twist now. So we're sitting in easy pose. If you would rather have your legs straight out, that's fine. If you're sitting in a chair, you're good. We're going to find that length from our tail all the way up to the crown. All right, one of the things that can injure you in a yoga class, and many people don't think about, is rotating and hyperextending. It's not so important if you're 25. It's more important if you're over that, if you're in your 50s like I am or older. Rotating with a hyperextension is a problem. So that's why we want to lift and open, make sure our ears are over our shoulders, take a breath. And then with our spine still long, ears over shoulders, we're going to rotate to the right. So left hand comes to the thigh, right hand to the floor behind you. Turn and look, but keep the back of the neck long. So oftentimes I feel like my chin is dropping closer to my shoulder. If you're in a chair, you're doing the same thing we are, just twisting towards the back of your chair. Take another big breath in and out. And then we'll unwind on an in-breath. As we exhale, we're going to go the other direction. So right hand to the knee, left hand to the floor, back of the neck is long. I've got my chin dropping a little bit closer to my shoulder. We'll take one more big breath in and out. And then unwind on an in-breath all the way back around. Here's something I really like to do in yoga classes, just to let go of any tension I might still be holding on to. We're going to lift our shoulders up to our ears, take a breath through our nose. As we exhale, we're going to exhale out our mouth with a sigh or with a big ha. It's that big huff if you want to. Inhale. We'll do it 3 times. Inhale, lift those shoulders up as high as you can, and then let it go. One more. Inhale. Inhale, inhale, and you're letting go of everything else. And then feel the energy moving through your body. Take another breath, and we're going to come to our back. So lots of people just plop down on their backs. I oftentimes like to just take my time, use my abdominals. Another fun thing to do in yoga to get to your back is a little rock. So I put my hands behind my knees, keep my chin connected to my chest, roll back to my shoulders, and back up a couple times. This is really good for toning your abdominals. If you're in a chair and you're going to stay in a chair, stay in a chair. And we'll finally make our way down to the earth. Pull your hands around your knees. Give yourself a hug and a little rock from side to side. And then we're going to come right back into the center. Release our feet to the floor. Bring your hands down beside you and look at the ceiling. We'll do one more posture, and then I want to save some time for questions. We need to get a little relaxation in here. If you're in a chair, sit on the edge of your chair. We're doing another back bend. So our hands are down beside us. Our eyes are always on the ceiling. We're doing bridge pose, Setu Bandhasana. So bridge pose, inhaling our hips off the ground and exhaling them down. So if you're in a chair, you're doing more like a cat-cow like we did before. We're going to inhale, come into the back bend, use those muscles in our back, nice and strong. Exhale, lower down. Let's do it twice more. Pay attention to the bottoms of your feet. You want the full bottom of your foot, all four corners on the floor. This is the last one. We're inhaling. Use those muscles in your back, nice and strong. And exhaling, let it go all the way down. Feel each part of your back coming to the floor. And then for those of you who have lower back issues, I'm going to say keep your knees bent, step your feet wide, and let your knees drop together. You are in a posture called constructive rest pose. Some of you will straighten out your legs, let your toes drop out, let your arms come beside you with your palms turning up. You are in a position called Shavasana or corpse pose, relaxation pose. And this is where we'll spend a couple of minutes before we come up for questions. So in these positions, we're practicing what's called restful awareness. So we know what's going on around us. We're aware that the washing machine is running, or there's dishes in the sink, or we hear noises from outside, the trash truck just came, whatever it is you're hearing. But we're not labeling everything. We're not saying, oh, there's a trash truck. Oh, geez, I hope I remember to put my stuff out. Because that's when we start going to monkey mind, what we call monkey mind in yoga. So we experience the trash truck as sound, not attaching any label to it. Experience the sounds as sound. It doesn't matter what they are. And allow that judgment to fall away. And that's where we find true relaxation. So close your eyes if you're comfortable with your eyes closed, and practice getting softer. Practice letting go. Practice not thinking. Let your breath become a gentle breath, a gentle, quiet breath. Let's begin to deepen the breath again. We'll start to let our fingers and toes move. So wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Let your head turn. And then bend one knee at a time and roll to your right side. This is if you're on the floor. Obviously, if you're in a chair, stay where you are. And then you're going to put your left hand on the floor in front of your chest. And you're going to start to push yourself up with your left hand. You're going to get your right hand underneath you. And you're going to push up using your hands. So we'll come back to an upright seated position, whatever is best for you. I just want to show that to you again, because that's the best way to get up off the floor without injuring your back. You're on your side. Left hand comes to the floor. Right hand gets underneath your shoulder. Up you come. And your back is in perfect shape. Before we start with questions, I just wanted to give you a couple other tidbits of information. I always say don't buy anything because I truly believe that. Right now I'm trying to do the minimalist thing. If you looked at my house, you wouldn't believe me, but I really am trying to get rid of stuff. And so I am saying to people, don't buy anything. So this is a yoga block right here. It's a foam block. You can get them anywhere. They don't cost very much money at all. Then they'll go into the landfill and they will sit there forever. They'll be in the landfill longer than you are alive. So you could use, here's something I pulled out of my cupboard. It's rice. It's one of those big things of rice. And I can use this just as well as a block. The only thing you have to be careful of is if you're working on a carpet like I am, it's slippery, right? The block is foam, so it doesn't slide. It sticks. If I had a mat, this is just fine. This also is something I pulled out of my cupboard. It is a bowl. It will work perfectly as a block. Okay, so you could use that. Here is a yoga strap. Yoga straps are usually about 6 or 8 feet, and they have a little buckle on the end. They're not very expensive either, but if you have a closet full of scarves like I do that you never wear, like me, you can use this as a strap. Works beautifully, and it makes you feel fancy at the same time. All right, so that's something you could use. You could also use a man's tie. When my dad retired, I got all of his ties. I took them around to all my classes in a little bag, and that's what we used as yoga straps. You can use a belt. So there's lots of things around your house that you already own that you can use to enhance your yoga practice. All the blocks and straps and things do is they make things a little bit easier if you're a little tighter. The block will bring the floor up to you. The strap, if you can't get your hands together, especially people have trouble with this, interlacing their hands and then getting their hands off of their back. That's where I might put a strap in between my hands so that my tight shoulders wouldn't have to work so hard. And that's a result of having tight pecs. You know, your shoulders get tight because of all the rounding that we do. So I think that's everything. There's so many things that we could talk about, but we only allowed an hour. So I'm going to cut it off from there. And if you have any questions you want to throw out or suggestions, I hope you could all hear me okay. I don't know if Gretchen's the only 86er out there with me. I don't know.
85.
86er. Oh, there's 85. 85. So I might see.
You're ahead of you. Yeah, you look familiar.
Well, we were there at the same time, obviously, probably at a frat party together.
Probably. I don't know.
I used to work at Ichabod's.
Oh, that might have been it, because we used to go to Icky's, Sticky Icky's.
Yeah, and I also used to work serving breakfast, because I'm one of those people that can get up early.
Uh-huh, yeah.
So I served breakfast in what's that place called that we went for our food? I should know. I'm on the
Lowry.
What's it called? Yes.
Lowry.
Lowry. Thank you, Gretchen. Gretchen and I are on the committee together.
Hi, another Gretchen. I think you. Were you 86?
Gretchen's 86.
I am with my barking dog. Yes, I am an 86. Sorry.
Okay. Were you the one that moved into my room? Because the Gretchen moved into my triple freshman year.
And to where?
Holden Hall. I was at a triple.
Yeah, but I was second new and second main. I don't think I'm.
Okay, then it was a different. We had a bunch of Gretchens. 'Cause it's
No,
not-
it was probably Gretchen Howe. There were a bunch of us. I grew up my whole life as the only Gretchen, and I got to Worcester, and
Yeah.
there were people everywhere.
I have a daughter at Worcester now, and they crack up that we refer to Holden as that new section. You know, I live in first
I know.
new and second new. She thinks that's hysterical.
What year is your daughter?
She's a sophomore and had a very bad room draw and ended up in Bisman.
Oh, I'm so sorry for her. I have he's not just mine, but we have a son who's a senior there and a daughter who graduated 2 years ago. So my son lives in a program house right now, though he's a cross country
does he?
runner. So he's not in Bisman, thank God.
Yeah, a girl that I graduated with, class of 81. She has a son who's a senior there now too.
I'm a class of 73, and I lived in Holden Annex.
Oh,
When men had to stay in the lobby and you had to sign in and out our freshman year.
Wow.
My daughter's a senior and she's working on her IS right now. And she has a single in Stevenson and it's really nice. They redid it. But when she got back from Morocco last year, she and her friend moved into Bisman, and it is such a dump.
I know, it hasn't been remodeled.
No, I was like, never in my wild, because it was all guys when I was there. So it's like, I never in my
Thank you. Yeah, my brother was a crapper and he lived in 7th section the whole time. When my daughter drew Bisman, she was so sad. And my brother's like, I lived there 3 years.
Leslie, do you teach yoga at Worcester?
I live in Connecticut,
Oh, okay.
and all of my classes are on Zoom. And I do teach a robust schedule.
Okay.
And if anybody's welcome, and we're on Zoom now, anybody can come to my classes from anywhere. I'll put my website up in the chat. It's lesliegordonyoga.com. I have an email that I send out, make sure I spelled my name okay, every Friday morning with all of the links for the next week. I don't put links on my website because I want to have some control, you know what I mean? But I do send this email out. Anybody's welcome. I'll put my email address. My mom actually comes, I was telling some people before everybody got here, I can't type and speak at the same time. LeslieWinterGordon@gmail.com. My mom, who still lives in Talmadge, Ohio, comes to my yoga classes on Wednesdays, and she does everything from a chair. And actually, today is the 1-year anniversary of the death of my father. And I'm only telling you that because my mother was never alone since the age of 25. And then my dad died at the very beginning of the pandemic. I'm sure he died from COVID. And she has been alone ever since. So it's like such a wonderful thing for her that she can see me on Zoom. She can do yoga, which she's never done before. We're having a little memorial thing for my dad later on today on Zoom. And my nephew from California is coming. I mean, it's just been this wonderful, not that the pandemic is wonderful in any way, shape, or form, but the things that we've had to do to stretch ourselves and the things that we've discovered that we could do have been great. And so all of my classes are on Zoom now, and I do not intend to go back to the studio at all. I do have a yoga deck in my backyard that's very big. I can fit like 20 people on it. And so in the summertime, I probably will get people out there on the yoga deck because we can stay away from each other. It's that big to have 20 people and socially distance at the same time. I built it specifically for yoga. So we will do that, but I don't intend to go back to a studio. And the studios are hard right now because, you know, generally they're small anyway. And when you have to socially distance, and there's all these rules in Connecticut, I'm sure you have them wherever you are too, about how far away people have to be. And if they can't be that far, they have to have a mask, and like they have to be 12 feet away from each other if they don't want to wear a mask, and like all of this stuff. And that's very challenging for yoga studios. And we've actually lost a lot of them in Connecticut because of it. But a lot of people are like me, and they've gone to Zoom and they're like, why go back? You know, I get so many people who are elderly now who would never, I was saying before, would never, ever, ever, ever go to a yoga studio. Men, especially older men, too much going on here for them, too much pride, you know, to be in a class with a lot of women who are flexible. That's their impression of it. It's not true necessarily, but that's their impression of it. And so it's been wonderful. I have this guy that comes to my class from England. It's his cousin lives here in Connecticut. And she's like, come along. Like anybody can come. It's fantastic. So I don't know if I answered a question or if I just jabbered on, because I'm really good at jabbering. I can talk a lot, very long time with nobody else joining in. I'm used to it now, talking to my computer and having everybody else muted. So that's a weird thing, but anyway, thank you all for joining me. I don't know if anybody else wants to throw anything else out there.
Yeah, does anyone else have any questions for Leslie?
No, I just sent an email though. I mean, if we're able to have an in-person reunion, I hope you come and maybe you'll put a class together.
I definitely will do that. We just sent out a survey to class of 86. Like I said, Gretchen and I are on our reunion committee. So
I am too for 81.
okay, so there's people that are interested in doing yoga. I'll definitely come. You know, it's my chance to see my mom and my brother and you know, that I don't see very regularly anymore. So, and I'm on the committee, so I can't really not come. So I'll be there. So we'll definitely do yoga, one shape or form, if we can come. And we can even do it if we don't come. We can do a yoga class. We can do it. So hopefully we'll be together, but I guess we're going to know by the end of February.
Yeah, I almost hope they wait till the end of March because I think there's probably going to be a lot more movement on the vaccination front in March than there is in February. But
yeah, we were told February that they would.
Yeah, I know. Same.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Just got an email as parents yesterday that they now have a, you know, class of 2021 specific website. And at first when it came, I was like, oh, I thought I had till the end of February. And I started to read it frantic thinking, oh Lord, it's going to say there's no graduation. And they're still saying, you know, the end of February. We're having a lot of things start to change. I'm in New York, in upstate New York, and I'm a teacher, and we're starting to get a lot of emails about if you get the second vaccine in terms of quarantine. It looks like things are going to start to change a little bit. You know, like right now, if I, with or without the vaccine, I would have to quarantine if I went to Ohio to see Noah. And that as long as you have had your second shot and you're at least 2 weeks out of the second shot, that they're starting to lift some of that quarantining. So I do think you're right about March. I think we're going to start to see things. All right. But the college, I mean, there's real official college people here that can probably tell us they probably can't wait that long. I mean, they got to make some decisions.
Yeah,
That's correct. Yeah,
I get it.
I know. Trust me.
Well, on graduation for sure, but I'm hoping on the reunion, if they have to wait another few weeks to see what happens, I'm hoping, but we'll see. Come on, vaccine.
Sign me up. I can't I want to do it.
That's my one perk of being a teacher. Move me a little farther up on the list.
Yeah.
all right. Any other questions? Or Leslie, do you want to make any other notes before I wrap it up for everyone?
I just want to say three things. One, thank you to the college for doing this. This was really, really fun. Because what Les said is so true. It's when you're not some young 20-year-old something, whether you're male or female, it's nice to do this from your house. For me, it's really nice to do it with Leslie and I just didn't graduate from Worcester in the same year. We are actually really pretty good friends and spent a lot of time together. So it's nice for me to be able to be with her. And my third thing is just Les has been really good about sending me emails lately too. And sometimes they end up in my spam. And she usually says that, but if you sign up for things, because it's really cool. I mean, she sends out these emails and there's a boatload of times and things to choose from, but just I had to have my husband pull it out of my spam twice, and now it isn't happening so much. Now it's like my computer has recognized she's a real thing. But watch your spam if the first couple times you do it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. You need to add me to your contacts.
Yeah.
You know, just add me. Because I have a large mailing list that
Yeah.
I mean, I have had pretty large classes. I've been teaching for the library here in town, and I've been getting like 70 people in my classes, and which is wonderful because many of them are seniors. They're elderly people, like I said, would never come to a yoga class. But
I
they
have to stay here just a few more
have to make
minutes.
sure that I'm on your mailing, that I'm added as a contact. So thank you, Gretchen, for saying that.
Yes, thank you. All
Thank
right.
you for organizing this.
Thank you.
Of course, yes, Stephanie, our alumni who's in charge of our alumni events, she's done a great job with all of this. So we're very thankful to have her. And we're very thankful that you all joined us this morning. And thank you, Leslie, for sharing your expertise. And I don't know about all of you, but I feel much looser and my mind feels clearer and I feel more at ease and I'm ready to start my day off in the best way possible. And keep an eye on your email the next couple of days. We'll send you some ways to stay connected with Worcester a little further. And we all hope to see you at more events again in the future. So thank you so much for joining us.